after our last conversation on this particular subject, we shared part of that on our social media channels, and somebody reached out to me with a very similar story. This time around, he was not a preteen, he's a young teenager, about 13 years of age. And so, as usual, one of the things we do in the academy, which you're aware of, is that we want to understand the personality of every individual that we are working with. And so this young man happens to be a sanguine, and if you understand anything about sanguine and extroverted human beings, they are typically warm-hearted, they are people-loving, and like I said in that conversation, they are conflict-avoidant people. Now, his friend, on the other hand, the draining friend, is a chaotic individual, is an emotionally unstable person. In this case, because the friend, one of the things that we found out while profiling him is that he happens to be coming from a troubled home. A lot of other dynamics in that mix. I'm sharing this with you. Like I said, they're not exactly the same case, but they are similar, and you're going to find a few things helpful for your journey. And so the combination of a warm, friendly, people-loving, conflict-avoidant child with a needy, chaotic, emotionally unstable friend is going to create a very classic dynamic. First of all is that the boy that we are working with is the rescuer, and the friend, on the other hand, is the drainer, the emotional drainer. And that cycle feels emotionally addictive for both of them. Listen carefully. That cycle feels emotionally addictive for both of them. And I'll explain to you what's going on. The boy who we are trying to help feels needed. So when a young person feels needed, they feel seen, they feel responsible, is going to make them like that. That's what I mean by emotionally addictive. It makes the relationship worthwhile. It satisfies the natural need of every human being to be needed, the natural need to feel seen. But this time around also he feels responsible. Now, on the other hand, for the friend who is the toxic person in this equation, it causes that friend to lean in harder on the relationship, and then the cycle continues. It's like that. And that is one very good reason why logic has not worked, because this is an emotional situation. You are dealing with an emotional bond, not a rational choice. So let's break it down a bit further, and I'm going to suggest a few things like we have started to work on in this my new found friend. Now, why is the boy struggling to let go? Why will your teenager be struggling to let go a relationship that is clearly draining and toxic from all indications? Add this to all what we have discussed before. Number one is, look at his personality. A sanguine kid hates disappointing people. They will overextend themselves. They will spread themselves too thin emotionally just to maintain the relationship and the peace of that relationship. And it makes it very difficult to let go. Yeah. Number two is that he enjoys being the good one. He enjoys that feeling of being needed, that feeling of being seen. So defending that friend makes him the noble guy, the kind guy, the loyal guy, you know, the knight in shining armor kind of guy. And these are strengths on their own, but those strengths can be manipulated knowingly or unknowingly by the needy one. Okay, by the one who is receiving or giving, the one who is giving the attention in this case, the one who is needing to be rescued, the one who is causing all of the chaos in the relationship. Number three is that the friend, that other party, the troubled friend, provides for this boy a sense of purpose. You know how we all want to have something that we are working on, we're trying to rescue people, we're trying to solve problems and things like that. So this boy feels like he's helping somebody, and that sense of purpose makes the bond a little closer and more sticky. All right. Number four, I've mentioned this also before, is that he fears being alone. He fears being alone. Now, extroverted kids attach quickly to people. And now, even when the relationship becomes draining, the familiarity feels safe, except that this time it's no longer safe. Number five, the child or that friend, that other friend, is becoming clingy, and that clinginess feeds your son's desire for attention. So the friend's clinginess is satisfying this young man's desire for attention, and he feels like someone really wants him. Even though it's toxic, a need is being met. Like I said, you know, when I was talking to you before, I said you need to find out what need that other relationship is meeting, and I'm giving you the assessment of a different individual so that you can use that to judge your own situation. Now, I can explain to you from my own findings what both of them are experiencing. Maybe let's talk about the friend. What is the friend experiencing? The friend is craving emotional attention, and this guy is supplying it. He will cling to anyone who gives him kindness, that attention, and this young man is providing it. He will nag, he will overreact because of his own insecurities. He's afraid of abandonment, so he's going to try to do everything, maybe even guilt trip the boy to staying in that faulty friendship. And that guilt tripping might not happen obviously. It might not even be something the child does knowingly, but it happens. And then he's going to attach strongly to this one who is the rescuer, who is the nice friend. So you have an emotional dependency problem building here. The friend is emotionally depending on this boy more than on any other person around him, maybe even more than the adults in his life. Like I said, one of the things we found is that he is coming from some chaotic family environment, and that's the real issue. But I will stop the talk there and maybe share with you some of the solutions that we are going to implement. I have sorted it into three-phase plan, and something I've called a detachment plan for the young man that I'm trying to help. In the first phase, which I believe is the most important phase. So what I'm going to do here is to walk you through a solution plan. We have tried to develop what I call an emotional detachment plan for this young boy. I'm going to pause here because also we're putting this out on our social media channels. I'm going to pause here and say that if you have any child in this kind of situation, I encourage you strongly to sign up for our mentorship program for 2026. The Thrive Mentorship Program for 2026 is designed to help teenagers, preteens, and young adults in their different categories. It's a group coaching program that you might want to avail yourself. Details of it will be shared at the end of this video. So I was saying that I'm just going to do an overview of a solution that we are going to begin to implement for this young person, and I've called it the emotional detachment plan. I designed it in 3 phases. Phase 1 is what I believe is the most important phase, where what we will be working on with the parent is to fill his social and emotional tank. All right, remember that in our diagnosis we have been able to establish that this is an extroverted, sanguine child, kinesthetic learner, and all of those things in the mix. And so the personality fits a kind of kid that disconnects easily when their emotional tank, when their social tank is full. Now give it to sanguines. They attach quickly, but they also disconnect once they find something stronger and bigger that feels more their social and emotional tank. That's what we're going to do in the first phase of it. It's going to involve increasing the number of activities for him and around him. Once his need for people is met, he will have less emotional hunger for that draining relationship. And the goal, the key outcome I'm expecting in this phase is that we're going to help him realize, oh, I no longer need this friend. I have other sources of joy. That's what we're going to try to create around him. In the second phase of the plan, we will begin to introduce soft boundaries. I talked about emotional regulation, coaching in emotional intelligence, coaching in emotional boundaries. So in the second phase of my work with this young man, we're going to introduce the soft boundaries. The idea is to not make a big deal out of it. That's why I use the word soft, because kids generally find it difficult to cut people off abruptly. More so extroverted kids, sanguine kids, find it difficult to disconnect from relationship abruptly. It causes them guilt, it causes them shame. Some of them will cry and it can create emotional confusion for a young person like that. So instead of trying to get them to disconnect from this relationship in an abrupt manner, we're going to do some soft boundaries, and we're going to break it down in another 3 or 4 steps that is not for this conversation. But at the end of the day, what will happen is that the young boy is going to be able to learn that he can still be kind without carrying somebody else's emotional baggage. Okay, that is what we'll be working on. Then in the 3rd phase of this plan, we will begin to reframe the relationship that they both have. You see, we're trying to get him not to dislike this friend, but to detach himself from the responsibility of carrying the emotional weight that the other person is bringing into the relationship. He's going to learn like that some friends need love, but not proximity. Okay, there are some friends you should be loving from a distance. He's going to be learning that yes, you can be nice, you can be kind without being responsible for this other person, without being responsible especially for how they feel. So you don't have to be a rescuer in the relationships that you have in your life. You are allowed to protect your own joy. So those are the 3 phases that we will implement for this young man. And hopefully at the end of it, the goal is that he begins to see this relationship differently, not as a relationship with somebody he must rescue, but someone he can be kind to from a distance while protecting his own emotional energy and his emotional space. It's probably going to take us about 2 months to achieve that, and we will see what the next step of our coaching relationship will be. So I hope that this helps you for this session. Like I said, it's to give you a lot more knowledge on adding to what we have said earlier. And if you're listening to this, do yourself a favor, join the Thrive Mentorship Program for 2026, or reach out to us. You probably also would need a private coaching plan or something of that nature. Get any of our resources and the books that I have written for young people, and ensure to, before you go, ensure to like this video, drop a comment if you have a similar situation, but follow us for more or subscribe in case you're watching us on our YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next one.